So you ready to jump into Replit?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay. So Replit is it's very similar to Lovable in that it's a conversational builder. It's got this little conversation thing on the side, and you might think, well, they're basically the same thing. So what does it matter? I'll use whatever's cheaper. And I think for many people, that's actually probably the right way to think about it. But I just want to talk about the difference between Replit and Lovable a little bit. And most of it is user interface because they do a lot of the same things behind the scenes. You can just tell that they're focused on different audiences. So the things that they highlight in their interface are different. So Lovable, for example, their mission seems to be to make building websites and web apps accessible to anyone. So their interface.
Yeah, not to stop you. I mean, as an example, my son built a web app who's 10 years old for trading sports cards with his friends, where it's like invite only, and they can upload their cards. AI scans the card and like identifies who it is and what year it is and stuff like that. My 10-year-old son built that with Lovable.
And he's charging for it, I'm sure.
Yeah, he should be. College is only getting more expensive. Although skip it if he's building web apps at 10. But I mean, he is not a technical person. He's out playing sports constantly, not like gaming and doing that kind of stuff. He was able to build this web app. That's who Lovable is like. That's the, it's like the USA Today writing for like a third grade level or whatever it is.
Yep. But Replit, they seem to be, and when you look at their marketing materials, they say that they are trying to do the same thing for everyone, but a lot of their communication is geared towards people who have some understanding of technology and are looking for an interface to make building things easier. And so some of the stuff that you see in their interface directly are more immediately helpful to people who have some understanding of building with AI and agents and things like that. For example, you have the ability to create background tasks and run multiple tasks in parallel. So you might want to, if you have an app that has user information and you need to set up database actions or something, you might set up a background task, or you can schedule actions as well. So you could, I don't know if you can schedule in Lovable, but you could say on Tuesday night at 7:00, add a banner promoting this specific offer. You could do stuff like that. But let me show you another thing that I kind of like about Replit, because I'm really interested in understanding how these tools work, is, and Lovable does a version of this, but I like Replit's better, is they really break down important attributes of your conversation with them. So I've asked Replit to build me a tool for generating quick quotes. And we'll walk through this, and then I'm going to go back to the conversation for just a minute. So let's say the business or the industry I'm going to generate a quote for is web design. It's a landing page project with just one page, needs an AWeber sign-up form, and I'm going to get it done in 1 week. And no reference. Actually, we'll base it off my reference site is chrisvasquez.design. I need to make this better. So there we go. It's going to go do an AI analysis of that site and all of the specifics about it that I input, and come back to me with a proposal that I could pass along to a customer or a prospect. But in this sidebar, you can jump in here and look at some of its thinking. And here, to the point of custom integrations, I'll jump over to what it created in just a second. It had to make calls to the Anthropic API to do the analysis. So it needed an API key. And the really cool thing about this is it's not going to ask me to put it in chat. It's not going to ask me to, manually input it myself in some weird thing. It had just popped up a little input that it looks like I can't necessarily see here, but it just popped up an input in the chat for all of secrets, which are things that it keeps in an inaccessible part of this web app for me to put in my key. And a really cool thing about this that is probably more useful for more technical folks is I can really easily see all of my secrets and all of my keys that are being referenced by the app. This probably isn't important for a lot of folks, but the neat thing that this really points to is that Replit, and I know Lovable feels this way too, but Replit is more and more concerned about security and creating applications that don't just work, but they can scale with you too. So if you create a web app that ends up getting really popular, with Replit, you can feel at least reasonably confident that they are creating systems that will scale with you as you grow. But let's see, what did it create? Gave me a price range, gives me an itemized breakdown, step by step, estimated timeline. And this is helpful for me as a business owner as well. And some clarifying questions. And I can go through here and I could start over. I could add additional features to this right now, like give me the ability to prompt to refine my estimate. We might not wait for this to get done, but like I'm saying, I might see something in here that I want to change. So I want the ability to refine this without having to start over. And it's just going to go through and add that feature for me. A couple other neat things about this that Lovable has analogs to, but if you start to get really interested in the more technical sides of this, these tools let you dive in and see what your project looks like and how it's built. So in Replit, you open this little sidebar, and then you can actually see your file tree to see what code was written to create the thing that it's built for you. And that's really neat if you do have a technical background, or if you're working with another tool to give you coding advice, you can just copy and paste out the contents of a file and paste contents back in. Another really cool thing about this is there is this file in every project that you create in Replit called the ReplitMD. It's a markdown file. And in AI tools that you use, you're probably going to see these things a lot. Because what these are is their project-specific direction for the AI model. So you'll see that in here, there are all sorts of rules that Replit is following when it's creating content for you. And I can put in updates to here if I want to give additional guidance to this thing. So if I wanted to build using a specific style, I could put it in there. If I want to build using specific technology, that's what this stack section is. You can go in there, edit it, and give direction to Replit on what on how it should build, how the thing should look, what your goals are. So when you're talking to it in the sidebar, it has a better understanding of what your end goal is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's jump back in here. How's it doing? It's working through it.
I haven't used Replit nearly as much. How do you feel like it does? Like, this is like a clean, great, web app to use as a freelancer or a business owner. How do you feel like it does, like, designing like modern websites? If you it's a full site build,
I think it's good. So I have a critique of all of these designers, including
Sure.
Lovable, to be honest. Like, if you work with AI tools a lot, you can spot a least common denominator AI created website. Yep. And different tools create base versions of different things. So I was working with one of our designers at AWeber the other day, and she was working through with an AI design tool some variations of something that she's working on. Mm-hmm. And she called out the fact that Claude Design loves this text treatment called an eyebrow, which is like a little tiny text over top of a headline. Yep. And by default, it uses it all the time, unless you give it direction to stop using eyebrows everywhere. So I'd say if you're giving it vague prompts, it'll create a good looking website, but it's going to look just like everybody else's Replit or Lovable created website. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I think really helps, regardless of the tool that you're using, is if you take screenshots of other pages that you like, not to copy, but to say, like, hey, these are some of the design styles that I really like. Here are 5 or 10 screenshots of other pages that I really love. That does a fantastic job, in my experience, of identifying patterns, colors, styles, and giving you something that doesn't feel super generic.
Yeah, think of it like I mean, I remember when I was doing a lot of more freelance design, one of the steps early on would be kind of collecting a mood board of like likes and dislikes from a client. Like if it was brand or if it was a website, like find examples that there are elements that you enjoy or elements that you absolutely detest and don't want to see,
Yeah.
you know? And that would help me guide like going from like a giant universe of opportunity or of potential to like a more narrow first approach that I understood was in line with what they wanted. It's the same with any of these design tools.
Yeah, and like, we're both designers by trade in our backgrounds, and one of the things that you learn very early as a designer is there is very little that is completely original in the world. And
Mm.
the best designers, one of the skills that they have is their ability to harness their influences and turn a variety of influences into something interesting. So when you're working with these AI tools, one of the really neat things that you should spend some time on is finding things that you really like, trying to identify why you like them, and then communicating that to the tool that you're using as you're trying to create something new. Um, okay, so I gave this new feature request to refine the estimate. It created the element, but let's see. What if, let's say that this is for a friend and I want to find a way to make this more cost effective. And let's see what this comes back with. Let's see, hopefully it even works. So it took that prompt and ideally, fingers crossed, it's rerunning the estimate to get me a more cost-effective estimate. I don't even remember what the price was, so I'm just gonna kind of trust that this worked. All right, cool. But while we're waiting for this, I don't know, you want to jump into the mailbag? I know we have
Yeah,
some
let's do
questions
it.
related to these
Do it.
builders.